The Orphan Barrel Whiskey project is a very unique project. So Diageo have never done anything like this before. We've been going into our warehouses, predominantly in Kentucky, and looking at some of our older aged stock that we had there that we didn't really know what we were going to do with it. And then we had an opportunity with this project to release this liquid in very small amounts to the adoring bourbon community. Rhetoric 20-year-old was released in the summer of 2014. It came in at 90 proof, and the whole thought process behind the Rhetoric program was that we wanted to do this progressively aged program. So we were going to start at the 20-year-old, and then we were going to finish at 25-year-old. So it was really an experiment to see not just what maturation does, but also the environment that we have at Stitzelweller.
So the Rhetoric series is a combination of barrels that were stored on the 7th floor in Stitzelweller and the 1st floor in Stitzelweller. The 1st floor is a cooler temperature, the 7th floor is a warmer temperature. At warmer temperatures, you expect to see accelerated processes occurring. So we're going to get two unique spirit profiles that are then combined to deliver the overall blended Rhetoric profile.
Well, for me personally, what I find most interesting about this is an organic chemistry project that we're running. And it's also a project we're releasing to the public as well. So we're looking at the differences between maturation in two different parts of a warehouse, which we're then marrying together. So you're taking two very complex flavor profiles, taking those together and then releasing that as a product. So for whiskey nerds and geeks like myself, this is a dream come true.
When investigating the difference between Rhetoric 20-year and Rhetoric 21-year, we wanted to have both qualitative and quantitative data. So we employed the use of an eNose, which is short for electronic nose, to give us our hard scientific data. And then we took a panel of whiskey experts and we gave them blind samples and asked for their subjective opinion. We overlaid those two data sets, the hard and soft qualitative and quantitative data, to compare and contrast what's moving, what's changing, how is Rhetoric 20-year different from 21, what are we seeing? What we found with the eNose is that Rhetoric 20-year and Rhetoric 21-year each had higher levels of certain compounds. Rhetoric 20-year had higher levels of isoamyl acetate and ethyl acetate. These two compounds are primarily described from a sensory perspective as citrusy and fruity and sweet. 21-year had two compounds, beta-damascenone and 2-methyl-1-propanol. 2-methyl-1-propanol is typically described as a winey type of alcohol, and beta-damascenone has this really nice sweet tobacco, apple rose type flavor. Really nice flavors.
The packaging for Rhetoric is actually very unique in terms of it will change year on year with each release. So as you see with the first one, there'll be a wood veneer that's quite light, has good depth of color to it, and that will get progressively darker, which will mimic the darkness of the liquid that we'd expect to see with progressive aging.
As a scientist, I think this is one of the coolest experiments you could possibly do with whiskey. We've got all the variables controlled except for time.
I'm unsure if it will start a trend, but it will certainly start a conversation, and people will start to look at what does maturation actually do on a chemical level to a bourbon. So whereas before we've just looked at it in terms of nosing and tasting, now with this eNose technology we can actually go into the minutiae and see exactly what the chemical differences are between those.
I think we can expect to see the spirit continue to evolve. That's what Rhetoric is doing. It's continuously evolving, continuously changing. I think we're going to see the color continue to deepen. I think we're going to see the aroma and flavor continue to expand on what flavors we're picking up on both the chemical side from the eNose and from the qualitative side from when we do our panels. We're all part of this wonderful grand experiment where we get to try liquids as they age progressively. We'll share the data with you guys. You guys let us know what you think of the spirit.